Gospel according to Mark, the 12th chapter.
Glory to you, O Lord.
As Jesus taught, he said, "Beware of the scribes, who like to walk around in long robes and to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces, and to have the best seats in the synagogues and places of honor at banquets. They devour widows' houses, and for the sake of appearances, say long prayers. They will receive the greater condemnation." Jesus sat down opposite the treasury and watched the crowd putting money into the treasury. Many rich people put in large sums. Then a poor widow came and put in 2 small copper coins, which are worth a penny. Then he called his disciples and said to them, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put in more than all those who are contributing to the treasury. For all of them have contributed out of their abundance. But she, out of her poverty, has put in everything she had, all she had to live on." The gospel of our Lord.
Praise to you.
So, I was going to read the story from this storybook to our kids. But as usual, I had to choose not to, because the storybooks and the way a lot of people preach this passage has Jesus looking at this poor widow. And here, I'll just read it to you. Jesus asked the disciples a question. "Do you see that poor widow?" Jesus whispered. She looks this way and that. She tried to hide in the crowd. She bent over the money box. Clink, clink. Her 2 tiny coins barely made a sound as she dropped them in. The old woman reached her hand in her pocket. It was empty. Quietly, the poor woman shuffled away. "Did you notice?" asked Jesus. "The man in fancy robes gave just a little of his riches and showed off a lot. The widow only gave 2 coins she had and kept quiet about it. She shared everything. She's the one who gave the most. This is how I want you to share." That's how it ends. And then right here with a star, it says, "How does it feel when you get to put your coins in the offering at church?" Now, don't get me wrong. I don't want to dissuade from putting your offering in the church. Believe me. But that's not what this story is about. It's not about the coins. And when we make it about the coins, and when the church makes giving about money, it drives me and a lot of other people nuts. Because it makes people think, and it makes, I think, you all even think, that that's all we care about. Because I'm wondering, honestly, is this a good story for good stewardship? I mean, okay, everybody here today, I want you to be like the widow. When we pass the offering plate, get your wallet out and get your purse out and give everything you have. Anybody signing up for that? I'm not. Because here's the problem with that, is all of a sudden, then we're all poor and we have nothing to give. And then the church, becomes the charity for everybody? Trust me, I have enough people coming to the church asking for handouts. I don't need more. Jesus is not actually even lifting up this woman and saying that what she's doing is right or good. He's just saying that what she is giving is worth more. Why? Because it comes from a place of faith as opposed from where the other people are coming from. You have to look at this true story from the beginning. Look at what Jesus starts with. He doesn't start with the giving. He starts with a warning. Beware of the scribes who like to walk around in long robes That always gets my attention, since I often wear long robes myself, and get greeted with respect. Same with me. Verse 40. They devour widows' houses. That's strong language. And then right after that, who enters the picture? Who enters the picture? A widow. Do you think that is an accident? No. Jesus, the storyteller who is putting this before us, is trying to get your attention and mine. Jesus is calling attention to this broken system that breaks down the already broken. The last, the lost, and the least, who are God's beloved, are being devoured by this system and destroyed. And yet, they continue to participate in it. And Jesus does not call her a victim. Jesus does not say she's a fool. He simply says she comes from this place of poverty. Now, this word to us sounds like a bad word. We don't like to be from a place of poverty. And yet, the word really means, in the Greek, that she comes from a place of being bowed down, which for us, as we understand, is a place of worship. She comes because she has so little, knowing that she has nothing to offer from her little offering. She doesn't come thinking that her offering is going to buy her anything or get her anywhere. And yet, she offers it. It reminds me of a story that another preacher friend of mine told me this week. She talks about how one of her colleagues was moved by the story and the plight of homelessness in her area. So she decided to pick up a walking stick, and all 5'2" of her, she put on her cleric, and she was going to walk from her hometown in Illinois all the way to D.C. To call attention to homelessness. And the story goes that as she was walking, she met up with all these different people, and one of the people she met up with was another homeless guy who was so moved and so touched that this little lady was walking to call attention to his situation, that he gets out this battered leather wallet that he has and pulls out $2. He kind of looks at it, and he hands her one and puts the other back. And she looked at it, and she was like thinking to herself, I can't take this. And yet, before, thankfully, she offered it back to him, she thought. But she knew that giving it to the cause, because that's what he said as he gave it to her, this is for the cause, that it meant something for him to participate in what she was doing, participate in the cause. You see, there's something about this sense of being a part of something bigger than ourselves. We all have a hunger to belong, a deep sense of love and belonging, this irreducible need to be a part of something purposeful. And literally, we're biologically wired to be hungry for that. And when we don't have it, when we don't have connection, when we don't have purpose, we actually start breaking down. We grow numb. We don't function as we're meant to. We end up hurting ourselves and others. And we start wondering, are we even good enough? Are we worth more than nothing? And in today's lesson, we see that God is watching even the least of the world. And whatever we bring, whatever even the 2-coin people bring, God sees it. God watches and knows from where our gifts come and declares it to be enough. declares it even to be more than the people who come from the above places. That's the word that means the people who give from their excess, the people who give from their richness. They're the people who give from above. No, the people who give from the bowed down places, they're the ones who come knowing that their gifts aren't even really theirs. They're simply gifts that they've been given to watch over, to steward. And that's what is happening today here. God is again confronting all the broken systems that we participate in. All the broken systems that we uphold with our lives and that we can't break out of. Including the one that we uphold and kind of lift up today in Veterans Day. I don't know about you, but I really wish we could stop with this whole war thing. Wish we could bring every one of the soldiers home because we didn't have fighting anymore. And yet, every time I see one of them go out, every time I see yet another young person say, I'm signing up, I'm going to go, I give thanks to God that yet another person is willing to put themselves on the line that way. That they feel called and encouraged and hopeful that they can make a difference. It's a broken system, yes. And yet, in that broken system are these people who are strengthened by a faith in something beyond themselves to serve peace and hope through strength. And it chokes me up every time because it's powerful. It's powerful to see them do it. And it's powerful when, like today, we did our Veterans Litany over at St. Paul, and these 2 or 3 people came up to me and said, thank you. And they told me, yeah, I lost, my family lost my brother on Iwo Jima, or that my family lost my brother here. And when we mark these moments that matter, we honor those gifts, and we say that they are more than enough. Not saying that it was right that they had to give them, and yet saying that they were enough, and that we're thankful that they did. You see, you are being called out today to break out of the worldly definitions of worth, and instead to own the kingdom definitions, Christ's definitions of what is enough, what is worth more. And I pray that you understand just how worth more you are in God's sight. How precious you are, how blessed you are, how loved you are. So that every gift you bring, from your time here in these pews, from your hearing the word, from your sharing with people out in the world, from your love of your spouse and your children and your grandchildren, to the offering you put in the plate. That you are blessed by your opportunity to be a part of what God is up to, and that you love the opportunity to serve that God gives you. For this sense of love and compassion and purpose is Christ's call to you and his gift, so that you know you belong to him and that you are his. This is the gospel of our Lord.